Everything we're seeing today can be found within the pages of these two books. I will add a third book to this, but not tonight. It's almost as if the radicals of today are using them both as an unabridged playbook to kickstart their own modern-day revolution. When I was at Fox, we talked about this extensively. This is the copy that I first made my notes in to share with you, and it's terrifying. It might be one of the scariest books you'll read until I assign you the third book to read. It's a call to arms to radicals. It's an attempt to awaken the leftist sleeper cells to bring forth a violent revolution. It was written by communists masquerading as democratic socialists, and it talks about the imminent collapse of the capitalist culture. This book is trying to collapse the West. Now, it was first published in France in 2007 when I found it, and it was split up into two parts. The first part is a bunch of, Marxist crap, basically complaining why they believe capitalism is the root of all that is evil in the world. But the second part is more disturbing. Beginning under the section called Get Going, the authors lay out a pathway to revolution. The main strategy is to wait for a crisis, economic, environmental, or political. Then begin attacking government institutions, corporations, and police. Now think about that. Think about that for a second. And then listen to what is happening to the Department of Homeland Security just over the last few days. The acting Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security, Claire Grady, sent a department-wide memo on Saturday warning people of recent developments. She said, quote, "This assessment is based on specific and credible threats that have been levied against certain DHS employees and a sharp increase in the overall number of the general threats against the DHS employees." Grady goes on to instruct the DHS employees not to wear any identifying markings outside of official buildings, not to talk about where they work or in public or in social media, and to keep their windows and doors locked in their homes. She warned them to be alert and aware of any unexpected changes in their neighborhoods. Does that sound healthy? Last week, WikiLeaks went and did it again. They leaked more information, over 9,000 current and former ICE employees and all of their information. They did this, quote, to increase accountability. Or did they? What kind of accountability are you looking for by pointing radicals to people's homes? It's not an oversight that they're looking for. It's insurrection. Ever since that leak, DHS has received over 20 credible threats. In one instant, a burnt and decapitated animal corpse was left on a DHS employee's porch. I don't know. Sound good? This recent assault on DHS is almost taken directly out of the insurrection. In fact, let me quote, "We live under an occupation, under police occupation. Undocumented immigrants are rounded up in the middle of the street." They go on to talk about how they're going to act. Let's see here. Therefore, weapons certainly don't have a hope of rivaling theirs, the police, in firepower, but it can be used to hold them at a direct distance, redirect attention, exercise psychological pressure or force passage and gain ground by surprise. Now, would this include a decapitated and burnt animal corpse on the front porch? Would that qualify as psychological pressure? What about just making physical threats? Stalking DHS employees at their homes, swarming them at restaurants? Where does it go from here? Even the LA Times is pumping the brakes a little bit and asking whether all of this has gone too far. I think yes is the answer to that. But don't get me wrong, that's good. If we don't get more people to stop and take a breath here, we're going to get dangerously close to the final section in the book. This section says things like, take up arms. Take up arms, do everything possible to make their use unnecessary. Against the army, the only victory is political. There is no such thing as a peaceful insurrection. Weapons are necessary. It's a question of doing everything possible to make using them again unnecessary. Well, you can't have a revolution without first a controlling of the narrative. You've got to own the culture, or your movement is dead on arrival.